Because with the start of 2024 right now, I know they recently they had the Katt Williams interview that he had when he was talking about everything. I think right now it's got about 35 million views on Shannon Sharp's.
Last time I looked, it was like 22 million.
Oh boy, yeah, it's growing. It's growing crazy. And I'll say this much as somebody who's in comedy, or when I was in stand-up heavily, I've taken a step away from it. But it was one of those mic drop, pipe bomb kind of interviews where he talked about those type of people where you start looking at like how they were to get to their part, like a Kevin Hart, a number of different people. You're like, man, it starts to look like it's rinse, repeat with everything that they got going on.
I looked at it though, and I was kind of like, I looked at the Katt Williams thing. I thought it was funny. I thought it was hilarious. I think Katt Williams is so funny. I think the one thing that rubs me the wrong way, I think he's like a poster for like the lack of accountability.
Right. There's a little bit of bitterness that exists there.
Yeah, because Katt Williams, he could have been Kevin Hart.
Right.
But he squandered the opportunity. I don't know if he was like doing drugs. I don't know if like he couldn't pass it. Kevin Hart said something, he couldn't pass a drug test, so he lost a role in a movie. But it's like everything was lining up for Katt Williams to be that guy, right? To be like an Eddie Murphy, to be like a Kevin Hart, to be like a Dave Chappelle. But then dude just like squandered it in the wrong direction. And now like he comes back, and obviously he had such like cultural relevance that it's never gonna go away because he has such a big impact. But every time he talks about it, I'm like, I love it, it's hilarious. Like if it was just like, if he was doing it to be funny, it's hilarious. But you can tell that he kind of means it serious. Like he'll say, I'm the richest man in the world. I'm like, bro. And it's funny because obviously it's a joke, but it's like, I run really fast. And I run like a 4 second.
Yeah,
like,
he said like a 4.4.
Yeah.
He could run like a 4.1. I thought that was hilarious. But I looked at it from him using like the podcast as a way to like do his own stand-up special for 2.5 some hours. Because I looked at it as like performative art. But there was a lot of truths that was in there.
So that's the thing. Do you think it's performative art? Do you think he's just being serious, but he's funny?
It's because there's a lot of truth that you'll find within a joke. And
because I think it's satire, but I think like there's a level of like, he's being almost like being serious.
No, because I think he was much more serious than, because I looked at it as he was putting on a show, but there was a lot of truths that was in there. Because there's a number of people who've been able to reach mass amount of success just by either A, it was selling out, or you're just doing whatever they need you to do in order to go in the send. Like with the Steve Harvey thing, I think that was 100% on point regarding with the Bernie Mac. Because if you ever watched The King of Comedy, you know Bernie was the funniest person of the four with D.L. Hughley, Cedric the Entertainer, Steve Harvey, and then ultimately there was Bernie Mac. There was by far Bernie Mac was the funniest guy who was there. And then when he was talking about the stealing of material, that happens so much in comedy. Like one of the biggest stories with the Carlos Mencia in the mid 2000s with the stealing of jokes. And I noticed it myself even on the lowest level when I had first started. Like
that was Joe Rogan who exposed that.
Right, it was Joe Rogan who exposed it. Because I remember going to like, you'd go to like an open mic or something like that. You're just working on material. There would be other, not necessarily established comedians, but people who are also, you know, they're on the night circuit, they're just doing everything there. They would hear you talk about something in your real life experience, and they would take that and go to the stage. And because they got more reps in the game, now they've since shape-shifted your story into their own, and now they're taking your entire joke. And what sucks is because they're, you know, established, you're not. If you try to go to the stage and they're doing it, now they're going to pretty much police you on your own lived experience. Because it's one thing if you have just a very generic, broad kind of joke, like, oh, well, you're just joking about the MTA or the bus or the airfare or something like that. But if it's your own unique lived experience and somebody steals that, that's your entire essence. Yeah. So I think Katt Williams is on point when he was talking about that.
Well, it's weird because like, I think I'm part of the problem. Two things. One, I love the only reason I know the Carlos Mencia thing, I think comedy is one of those, it's an art form. People don't realize that. People think, oh, I just go up and tell jokes. Like, nah, there's ways to deliver. I watched the Dave Chappelle's new special. The Dreamer, have you seen it?
No, I only seen clips.
Dave Chappelle is my comedy goat.
Yeah, he's a master.
I watch it and the motherfucker is so profound, the way he builds up a punchline. Normally people is like, little story, 2 minutes, punchline, cool. Dave Chappelle will like, he'll build it up, he'll get you emotionally invested, and he'll hit you with it, and you're like, this is, and you'll start dying. So I watch comedy, and I'm kind of like, this is an art form in itself. It's beautiful, and if you master it, you can get really good at it. And everyone has a different style. It's almost like martial arts. Like people have a different style of fighting, but if you get really good at it, you see the nuances. So comedy, I like look at it, I'm kind of like, this is cool. I study it as like an art form, and I see things that like might be imperceptible to other people, I really love it. I love comedy shows. I love comedy, and I use it when I speak. So I use elements of stand-up comedy when I speak.